Hey there, welcome to Dr. Brown, or introduce Dr. Brown, is because of a product that he launched called, and I always call this, Autrantil.
Autrantil. My belly's better.
Oh, okay.
My belly's better.
What is it? Where did you get the name, by the way?
Oh, you know what? First of all, honored to be talking to a fellow doctor on a show here. So.
Mine's more of an honorary title. You know, I'm a doctor of aromatherapy. That's a whole different thing, though. And I'm guessing my degree costs a lot less than yours. Mine was $9.
$9.
Yeah, I mean, I opted for the gold standard plan. You know, I didn't. But anyway, so how did you get started? How did you get the name?
So I'm the developer of this product called Autrantil, and it's my first real startup that we did, and it's very interesting because when you start out, you have to come up with a name so you can trademark it.
It's tricky.
Oh my goodness! Guess what? If you're in the health and wellness sector, pharmaceutical companies have whole divisions where they trademark thousands of names
that they may never use.
But they will be trademark bullies if you get close to it. So we were trying to figure out what to do. We had to make up a name, and I work at Preston Crossing Endoscopy Center, where we have a lot of employees, have a lot of nurses, probably 20 or 30 nurses, and I just put up blank pieces of paper and Sharpies on the hallways and the walls. I said, if you guys think of anything,
write it down.
Just write it down.
Doesn't matter if it makes sense.
Doesn't matter if it makes sense or anything. So we essentially did this impromptu word lab.
Which, by the way, that is a standard brainstorming session. That's what they do. They don't judge, just write. Just let it all flow, pour it on the paper, go back later and look at it and see. That's smart.
Yeah, but be careful because I tried that once also. And they're like, you're a freak. You know that? Like, I let it all out. But I'm like, come on.
A lot of dirty pictures drawn. You just got to kind of wade through that. Yeah. So you wrote it all down. It's kind of a lab.
So we have everything out there. It's a word lab, and we were coming up with these different names. And when you realize that the drug companies have trademarked so many names, it's so hard to figure it out. So the winner was Trantil.
Okay.
It'll make you feel tranquil.
Okay.
Nice. Like if you look at how some of these other, how some of the pharmaceutical industry has done it, you know, you've heard of a drug called Ambien?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Ambien in Spanish. That's good morning. That's how they came up with that one. So it's Ambien, so I have to make it up. And then now you see these commercials where they have the weirdest names, Xeljanz.
Yeah.
Lots of X's, lots of Z's, because other companies have not trademarked it.
Oh, gotcha.
So we get to the 11th hour. We have everything going that this is going to be called Trantil. It's going to make you feel tranquil in your gut, And then all of a sudden our lawyer called up and said, hey, we found one that's a little bit like this from a big company. They're known as trademark bullies. And he goes, but if you put an A on it, you're going to be fine. So ultimately that became our brand, A.
You could have just as easily been Tranquilla,
Yeah, Trantilla. Yeah, if we would have added an A in the end, yeah.
Oh, you mean at the beginning.
Yeah, so anyway you cut it, the way that we view it, we're unlike anything else out there. It's not a probiotic or a digestive enzyme. It works completely different. And so rather than sit there and run away from a name that maybe some people mispronounce occasionally.
Just own it.
Just own it, because people mispronounce Xerox and Kleenex and all these name brands.
That's it. Google all of them. No one knew what they were.
No one knew what those were. And so that's kind of how I view that we're going to be. We're going to be the first in class when somebody has maybe, 20 years from now, when somebody says, oh, hand me an Autrantil, and it could be a totally different brand, but we're going to be the staple of that.
It's really difficult, even if it's not from a branding standpoint from a pharmaceutical. In today's world, you have to have the social media accounts and the .com and all this stuff. And so you can cheat it a little bit by doing .net or whatever, but there's a lot of the stuff that's taken. So, for example, we've come up with products, and even Spoony.com and Mojo50, our sister station. We knew, Chef Patrick and I, when we started brainstorming this a couple of years ago, okay, what can we call it? Okay, so we started looking online for the .com, and what happens? It's all taken. Okay, you can buy it for $25,000 if you want something. And we stumbled upon, I told Patrick, I go, somebody is selling, there's an auction up for Spoony.com. And normally something that's, a part of a word, under 6 letters, 6 or under, it's going to cost you $10,000. And I saw they were auctioning it off, and the bid was like $700. $800 something. I was like, I don't want to pay anything, but I got to have a good name for this. So I put a bid in, and it stayed for like 2 days as it was counting down. And I get down to the final minutes, and this is normally where it goes down with the auctions. Everyone starts, every second it just ratchets up. And I'm watching, it gets about a minute out, here it comes. Someone bidded it up $50 or something. And I'm like, okay, I'll stand by. I'll outbid them one time. Let's see. Nobody else bid on it.
Huh.
So it was, I think it was around, was it $800-900 total? Something
Yeah,
like that?
but do you want to tell them the real story? So we came up with a name, but Forky was too racy, so we had to go with
Forky was
Spoony.
too racy.
Forky was too racy.
So Mojo 50, our sister station, we needed something that, didn't scream, that was so standard, right wing, whatever, that was, a little more libertarian. Mojo.com is taken. Everything's taken. So I was like, all right, just put a 50 on it. It rhymes.
Yeah.
Done. So everyone's like, what's the I don't know. It just is. It was cheap. That one I got for $9. So.
See, you can totally appreciate this.
I can. I love it.
The
I think
name
it's great.
is, and then ultimately the name ends up being a story. So
Yeah.
Spoonie's a story. You got it at a bargain. And
there it is. So, and when you design a package like this for something, I mean, there's all kinds of people involved, right? Do you have people that test colors or marketers or?
Well, I will be totally honest. When we initially launched, we had, we thought about doing all that, but much like you guys, you do a lot of
Trust
the stuff
yourself.
yourself because number one, I raised a little bit of money with some colleagues, and I'm not going to spend their money where I feel like we can do it. So almost everything you see was done by us.
The logo is great. I love the A with the leaf,
with the little leaf.
Yeah. And I mean it tells you a little bit about the product too, right?
Yeah, natural, and so we have that in there, and so that's our logo, and the name a little hard to say, but Atrantil. So we've embraced it, and we've got. I think you've seen my colleague Eric walking around. Now all our T-shirts phonetically tell you how to say it.
I had to write it down that way too, and I still say "oh" as opposed to "ah." But you get lovemytummy.com, so it's easier to market to.
Yeah, so we ended up getting lovemytummy.com. Certainly, lovemytummy.com is our landing page for shows like this, so that we can help promote you as well. So that
it's easy too. It's just easier to try to tell, and people can remember because they're going to go back. And we have a client on called Minnestalgia, and it's a natural wild rice from Minnesota, and it's like Minnesota and nostalgia. Try to figure it out. I mean, I can't even spell Minnesota, and so they just go SpoonyWildRice.com.
Oh yes, that's
which
perfect.
is so, and it's indicative of the station. So you can even see if people are, from a business standpoint, if people are coming in from certain platforms, and it makes it easy for you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So when did you launch?
We launched about 3 years ago. We're right at about 3 years. Okay,
and it takes years and years to get some of this stuff out there to get the following.
Well, we fortunately, since it is backed in science.
Right.
We kind of a funny story. One of my patients was suffering. So one of the people that we had actually done in my clinical trial was part of a forum. So we were kind of like a very soft launch. And then she went on this forum and said, "Oh my gosh, I was part of this trial. This worked for me." And like we didn't have our distribution set up yet or anything. So we had employees. I mean, there was only 4 of us. Packaging things ourselves, driving to FedEx.
That is so great.
And so we kind of got shot out with a little faster than we would have liked. Yeah. And then we got we kind of hit the ground running. We got our legs behind us, and now we're really growing rapidly because it's just a matter of getting out there. It's just like you guys. I mean, you offer great content. People just need to find you. That's all it is.
Well, and that's one of the things that we've focused on both our platforms, and I've done this really for years now. It's easier than ever to start a business, not necessarily, something that's a supplement or health related, but, everyone could sell flapjacks online or anything, but it's harder than ever to break through and get the attention, and if you're a social media influencer or something, you already have the audience. It's not that difficult, but most of us do not. So while it's easier than ever to start, it's more difficult to get attention. So that's the reason we offer free commercials. We do our Building America segments. If I can help you out, help somebody grow and break through, good for you. I'm happy to, Some people end up seeing the value of what we're doing beyond that. They become clients. That helps too. But we always focus on helping people.
Yeah. And they, and this comes down with the whole Spoonie concept. I was talking to Patrick earlier about, restaurants. I tell my staff, like for instance, on how many different ways a business can fail just by putting the wrong people on the wrong seat on the bus. You can have a great idea. You can have everything. And, a startup can fail. I tell my office staff, so I still am a practicing gastroenterologist, and I tell them, I said,
in the Dallas area.
So my office is in Plano. I'm part of a large a group called Digestive Health Associates of Texas. I think one of my friends, Dr. Jay Yapuri, is the medical director of another product called Riduzone for weight loss. And
that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Dr. Jay, I forget. Yeah, and Riduzone's a great product.
So Jay and I are part of the same group, and I tell my staff that I said, look, if you go to a restaurant and it's hard to make a reservation, you arrive, the hostess doesn't treat you nice or is not attentive, you sit down and the waiter is screwing up your order. If you've got Nobu Matsahitsu, right? Is that his name? Nobu Matsahitsu. Yeah. If he's in the kitchen, it doesn't matter because your experience has been changed. So even with any other business, and this is how I approach this also, ultimately, Atrantil is here to help people. That's our end goal. Yes, we need to have we need to make some money so that we can pay salaries and stuff. But then again, that grows the economy and that helps. So I tell my staff, I think of it that way. If you go to a restaurant, if the customer service is not all the way through, it doesn't matter who's doing your colonoscopy if you already have a bad taste in your mouth.
Done.
So I'm very proud of my employees have been with me a long time. That trying to at least do the best is the key. As long as we see the effort there. So you've hit on so many different things on how hard it is to do a startup. Because not only do you have to have a great concept, you have to get it off, then you have to get exposure, but then you got to make sure that everybody that you've surrounded yourself with is the right team. And there's
more ways to fail than succeed, really. Yeah. I mean, it is. And I mean, that becomes overwhelming. You can't focus on that. I think most of the time, if you prioritize, and that's tricky to do too, and people see progress, the audience, whether it's an audience for a product or an audience like us, they're fairly forgiving if they know that you're genuine, which comes down to something that a lot of people are missing in the world. Genuine, real, honest, transparent. These are the watchwords of the future, especially the younger generations.
Definitely. I think that there is so much skepticism. Everybody's been hustled for so long.
All right. I had a guy scam me out of $20 a couple of weeks ago. Downtown.
That's actually one of our biggest hurdles with Atrantil. People go, oh, I've tried so many other things. I've tried 6 different probiotics. I've tried this. This is just another thing. That's been one of our biggest hurdles because I'm like, no, you've never tried anything like this.
Because this is not a pharmaceutical.
It's not a pharmaceutical. It's over the counter, but it's also not a digestive enzyme, not a probiotic, not like anything else that's there.
It's new tech.
Yeah, and so I love being on a show called Spoony because the reality is the molecules are food substances called polyphenols. And we're using these polyphenols to help your body in a totally different way. So if we can just get people to realize that, oh, it does have a 100% money back guarantee. I can get on there and it is totally different. Give it a shot. And 4 out of 5 people are going to get better if you suffer from the symptoms.
What's so funny too is, you're right. Products like that are new that people haven't seen that's different. There's a healthy and understandable skepticism. But at the same time, these are people. I talk to enough people. I understand that they also know we got to do some things different. I mean, listen, traditional medicine, pharmaceuticals, they have their place. Very effective. They work great. Not always the best. There's also, ounce of prevention versus a pound of cure. And then also other options. I guess that's the way I'll say it. Other options.
Other options.
Right. That everybody knows that. Whether it's even if it's things like yoga or whatever, as far as being healthy, people know these things work. They know traditional medicine is not everything. It's a good part of it, but it's not everything. So they're willing to try.
Yeah. So if I could sit there and if I had my 3 pillars of health, it would be number 1, gut. Obviously, I might be a little bit biased being a butt doctor and all that. Yeah. But number 1, gut. And the reason why is because there is a lot of evidence now that inflammation starts in the gut. In other words, if you have a poor diet, if you have an infection in there like SIBO, bacterial overgrowth, or if you have a sensitivity to gluten, which produces a molecule called zonulin, which is a little complex, but what it does is it creates impermeability or leaky gut. So if that happens, you start the inflammatory process. So I'm going to fix your gut as 1 pillar. The second one is we have to protect your brain because if you're not of right mind, meaning if you're anxious, if you're having trouble sleeping, if you have a tendency for depression, a lot of times we can fix that through the gut. And then the last one, which is completely, I think people miss it because they're always trying to do more, and especially if you're doing a startup. And I have to remind myself, sleep, sleep, sleep.
Interesting.
Proper sleep, sleep hygiene. If I can get those 3 things, then you're going to feel better. And that's what I try and get my patients to do. I said, one way that we're going to heal your gut, well, a few key supplements, but diet. Spoony, you know, helping people, teaching people, you and Patrick teaching people that a low inflammatory diet is going to play a key role in starting the whole process.
It's funny, a lot of people that eat healthy, let's say, quote unquote, eat healthy, they get it. They say, okay, obviously garbage in, garbage out. I want to eat healthy. I want to get all those vitamins, nutrients, whatever. But if you're having a failure that maybe even you don't know about, or you're not operating as properly as you should in your digestive tract, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's funny because even if you think you're eating healthy, sometimes you may not be eating as healthy as you want. And then if you talk about what is healthy, so I go on several different podcasts where people are big keto people, or they're big fasting people, or this person's a paleo person, this person's an SCD. There's all these diets out there.
Yeah.
And people are very passionate about it because that's what helped them. But that may not be the diet that fits you. A great example is me. And I mean, this is complete disclosure. I like to try things on myself.
Okay,
then,
that's good.
And then I have my experience about what actually happened.
Firsthand, that makes sense. Yeah.
So like keto diet. Everybody talks about the keto diet where you eat 80% fat and then 10% protein.
And you've got to be very careful with that. To go into the ketosis. That's can be dangerous. You got to be careful with that.
Well, this is really funny because I kind of half did it. I did like keto when it was convenient for me.
Okay, that's going to be trouble for you, right?
And then, I'm married to a Puerto Rican, so when I come home, there's beans and rice at night.
Oh, sorry. Keto out the window.
Keto out the window. And I went to my doctor, who's a functional medicine practitioner, and he called me up. He goes, "What have you been doing?" I'm like, "Why? What's wrong?" I was feeling great. He's just like, "Your cholesterol jumped up. You did this," and I went, "Oh, you got to really commit to it. You can't play this, what I'm going to call dirty keto, which is like keto when I want and not at night." And so I went back to the diet that works better for me, which is more of a paleo style or just pretty much gluten-free. So that one works with my body.
And that's what I did. My wife and I, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we were on the paleo, and we were doing the whole 30 version of it. We do 30 days, and we just stayed on it for about 3 months. I realized at that point I should have transitioned a little bit more and gotten more grains and stuff back in. And we ended up getting off of it quickly because we had a death in the family and travel and all this weird stuff. But during that time, I really saw the value of it. Like I said, I think I needed more starch. Don't fear the carbs of that at that point. So that's what I've just started working on recently in the last month or so. I'm like, okay, this is and I have got to get rid of the sugars. I mean, that's that's the other killer for me. So
the other big thing is that a great life hack, which we can talk about in some future episode because there's a lot of science behind it, is the hack of fasting. Actually just not eating.
That is fantastic.
Is an amazing thing for your body. And so I got really into the whole fasting thing. I went on the intermittent fasting podcast with Melanie Avalon. If you can go and check out her podcast. I had a real fun time with her talking about intermittent fasting. But what I discovered preparing for that podcast is that polyphenols and atrantil are a fasting mimetic molecule. In other words, it actually creates some of the same changes in your body, so it augments the fast. So there is a 5-day fast called the fasting mimicking diet, and we've teamed up with them because I made my whole company do a 5-day fast.
That's cool.
On the fasting mimicking diet, and we added atrantil to it, and everybody checked their ketones and all that, and that is a cellular reset. That's like that just kind of resets your whole body at a cellular level, the mitochondria and everything. It's a really, really cool science, but it's so fascinating that I developed this for a disease process, and as I meet more and more scientists, they'll call me up. They'll be like, "Hey, I read your paper on this." He goes, my thesis was on polyphenols and how it looks like fasting. And I'm like, holy cow, tell me about that.
Yeah.
And we'll be publishing when I get some breathing room, I'm always like, one day we're going to write about this. One day we're going to write about it.
As soon as I have time.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so that's what we learned for that. And then the other really cool thing is that when you eat right and you take these molecules, polyphenols, you've heard people talk about probiotics. You've heard that term?
Right. There's also prebiotics.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to throw a curveball at you. The newest concept is postbiotics.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that is when your bacteria break down certain foods. So like if you eat veggies and there are undigested fibers that get in there, if you have good microbiome or the bacteria that live in your body, they'll break them down. And now scientists are discovering that they produce molecules that actually tell your aging and sick cells to die. The actual molecule is called urolithin. And now they're labeling that, okay, well, that is one postbiotic. Oh my goodness. Now that knocked down the door. Now they're finding other ones. Now we have a reason why the Mediterranean diet is an anti-inflammatory neuroprotective diet, because the bacteria break them down and they cross the blood-brain barrier and they just start calming everything down. So the reality is the biggest concept, we're going to see everybody in my field move away from prebiotics, postbiotics, and now we're going to talk about how do we increase prebiotics and probiotics. How do we increase the postbiotics?
Wow. I'm fascinated by this. I love too how it's, so much of this goes back to what we, meaning humans, used to do. At the time, they were just doing it because it was functional. They didn't have all these other options or whatever, like eating healthy garden, and fresh vegetables and stuff and fruits. And now we're realizing, that actually was what we should do.
Wouldn't it be cool to, you could be Chef Patrick could have have like a test kitchen, making food, serving it to people, and then explaining, okay, so the reason why I put, let's say, this pomegranate sauce in here is because there's an agalic acid, and you could just show the chemistry. This agalic acid gets converted to urolithin, which makes your old cells go away. So
this is amazing.
This sauce on this chicken that you're eating is actually making you younger.
Right, and it works together with that.
Works together. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be amazing. I'll tell you, that fascinates me because I've noticed too when I ran regularly and I was eating very healthy and just, doing basic, not even anything spectacular, just basic good nutrition and health, I would go into the supermarket and I didn't crave stuff that you crave, the Pop-Tarts and stuff. I craved things that I didn't even like. I was like, rutabaga. Oh, that'd be great. I don't like those. But I see them and I'm like, that's what I want. So you get in tune with your body, right? So what if you're right? You're showing the food and you're like, wow, that's cool. All right.
This is going to kind of freak you out. What if, because you were working out and eating better, you were feeding the bacteria that were telling you to eat that? Now, when you eat like crap, your bacteria proliferate and they like that. They're sending signals saying, oh, look, we need some more sugar.
Oh,
so it could very well be that you're not even in control.
Yep, that's what I think.
Your bacteria are telling you what to do.
That's what I think most Americans are living with now. I lived that. I saw that, and I knew, and okay, got it. But I think the first step is obviously taking control, and Atrantil is obviously going to help you out.
That's one of the things that we have seen. We have seen stool diversity increase by taking these polyphenols. So maybe
It's fascinating. We have, by people listening to Spoony, have seen stool diversity increase.
Oh, really?
But that's mainly just from Chef Patrick. All right, go to lovemytummy.com. Please try Atrantil. We'll tell you more about it. And let's work together, doctor, on some of this stuff. That'd be really cool show stuff as well.
lovemytummy.com /Spoony.
Gotcha. Lovemytummy.com /Spoony. And I'll tell you about the great deal as soon as we get a quick break in here as well. It's Doc Thompson along with Dr. Kenneth Brown, Doc's House of Flapjacks.
Awesome.
Never forgot dating today with all the crazies out there has to be nuts.
Yes, it really would. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a place you could go to find people who think like you do?
Like me, like libertarians and conservatives?
Right?
There is. WeThePeople.dating.
Amazing. What a genius idea. This is a site that you can go to if you're single and you are looking for somebody who you're going to think the same way as for from a political freedom standpoint. If you want to date the right person for you, you'll find them in one place. WeThePeople.dating.
Take the pain out of ordering your diabetic testing supplies with Diathrive. Diathrive ships the testing supplies you need directly to you when you need them. Best of all, with plans starting as low as $8 a month, Diathrive is probably going to cost you less than what you're paying today. Diathrive is so convinced that you'll love their service, they're offering your first month of supplies free. Simply type the code DOC, D-O-C, at checkout. Diathrive.com. That's DIA Thrive.com.
It looks like you're losing.
I am.
Are you losing weight?
I am losing. I've lost about 10 pounds.
How are you doing it?
Funny name, but I've done it with Riduzone, RIDUzone.com, and the stuff works. It's, you get into all that, the molecule this and the found in that. All I can tell you is it makes you feel full, and it keeps your mind off of wanting to overeat.
And also boosts your metabolism,
Yes,
so you're
it does.
burning more.
Yeah, it
Try it today. It's going to work for you like it's worked for Brad and countless other people. Riduzone.com, RIDUzone.com. All right, welcome back to Doc's House of Flapjacks. Yeah, you want to find out more about Autron Teal, go to lovemytummy.com/Spoony, and you'll get a discount. You're basically going to get a 3-month supply for under $100. I think it's $99, but it's a $20 savings. And I just started taking Autron Teal a few hours ago. So in the coming weeks, I'll explain, but I say this like I have known very few other things in my life, that I have stumbled on this concept of gut health just a couple of years ago, and I started paying attention to it. It was a very slow transition into learning about this gut health, but it is almost weekly now that there is some sort of science that comes out that tells you, and we say gut health, it's a very generic term, but I am so passionate about this, and that's the reason I'm like, okay, I need a reset. This is going to be one of the ones for me. This is going to be part of it. And it just so happened a couple of weeks ago, the folks from Autron Teal, Dr. Kenneth Brown, and others came up and said, hey, we'd like to, consider advertising in the program. And I said, okay, great. As soon as they started telling me about it, I was like, I can't believe it. This is almost like, and I don't want to overplay it, it's almost like divine intervention. It's one of those moments in a life where you go, what are the odds of me meeting that person at that time to do that?
Serendipity.
It really is, Patrick.
And when and it's I've realized this, when you work hard enough and long enough for the right reasons in the right direction, the pieces start falling in place. Like you're walking across a bridge that doesn't exist, and the tiles just one at a time appear in front of you.
You don't even know where you're going or how you're going to get there. Patrick, you've heard me say this for years now. Over the last couple of years, slow evolution into this gut health thing, and now we're here with this supplement.
Absolutely. I mean, and all this research about. It's not just about gut health, but your gut health controls your mental health. I mean, it's a big factor. It's where 80% of the serotonin in the body is produced.
My speculation is within a couple of years, they're going to realize that the things we're talking about here, because every week it's gut health, like you said, affects your mental health, that was just one of the most recent ones. A couple of years ago, they started realizing that gut health affects your heart.
Absolutely.
Do you know one of the leading causes of heart disease is plaque?
Mm-hmm.
Poor oral hygiene. They figured this out years ago. They said, we know that poor oral hygiene, they started writing papers, affects your heart health. And they're like, not brushing your teeth? What does that have to do with it? They couldn't figure it out. At first, they didn't know, but they knew there was a connection. They started looking into it. Plaque buildup. Think about it. You swallow constantly. You're swallowing that plaque. Bacteria and tartar, right? All that buildup. That goes through your system. And what happens? It ends up affecting your heart. Yep. So that was one of the ones that like, oh my gosh, it affects health. So if you can, I mean, obviously you need good oral hygiene, but then on the other end, if you've got good diet or, good gut health, you're going to help yourself there. Then recently they're like mental health. And you go down the list of all of the stuff that it affects. It's amazing. I think this is going to be one of those sciences that in 5, maybe 10 years becomes how can I put this? The premier health science topping none. If I said to you, what are the most significant health sciences? What field? Let's say you know someone that's going to become a doctor. and they say to you, hey, what's the most prestigious or important, maybe, health? If I'm going to specialize, is it eyes? Well, I mean, eyes are really important, but as far as health, you can live without that. What's the most impactful? Heart health. Yeah, that's one of them, right? Heart doctors, right? And think of all cholesterol over the last 30 years and stuff. Brain doctor, absolutely. Those would probably be the top couple. Neurology, cancer doctor, something like that. What if you realize in the future that all of those things can be affected by gut health, which we're just realizing? It makes it one of the premier medicines or areas of medicine to practice. Then we just saw a couple of days ago a doctor and a company out of Israel say they have a cure for cancer, that it'll be on the market within a year. Now, that is a bold, bold statement. I say there's probably one of two likelihoods. He actually has a cure for cancer, because if you're going to put that out there, right, and the only way you're going to put that out there is one of two things. If you truly have it and all of your pieces and are in line, all your ducks are in order, and you can say, this works, we've tested it over and over and over again, and it works, boom, here it is, world. Or you don't have it, in which case the world sees you as a fraud. I don't see any ground like, oh, we thought we did. I think in all likelihood, yes, this doctor is true. It's true, this doctor has a cure. So then what happens to the world? That throws a nuclear device in the middle of everything when it comes to science and food, farming, business. Well, we know how much cancer affects people, how many people die from cancer, how it changes our lives, how it changes our lifestyles. The money that is made off of cancer treatments, the money that is lost because of cancer, all of that. Well, imagine if just in a year from now, and then the following couple of few years, a cancer cure comes out, like we think there is. That puts a ripple in effect across all of that. I mean, across the board, boom. Then what's next? Here it is. Autron Teal, lovemytummy.com // Spoony. /Spoony makes me want to say splash, but check it out. I think you will appreciate the product, and I'll keep you posted in the coming couple of weeks to how it's affecting me. I can tell already this is going to be something that works very well. So apparently, one of the fallouts of the Brexit deal, Britain exiting from the European Union, if you're not familiar with it, is going to be something that affects all of us around the world, even in your little neck of the world, even if you don't care about politics or global politics or countries or companies, or you just live in your own world, make your money and raise your kids. This is something that's going to affect you. One of the possible consequences of a Brexit deal, or if they don't stay in the European Union, is changing suppliers. Right now with the European Union, they get all the deals worked out. Deals when it comes to imports and exports and stuff. Food travels around the world now. It's just how it is. Well, if they don't get a deal in place, it's going to affect all of that. And there's a lot of fresh food, fruits and vegetables, that must be imported to the island of Britain. They don't grow those things. If that's all imported, guess what? The prices are going to go up, or it's going to be scarce unless they work those deals out. Every trade deal that was put in place with the European Union over the last 20 years, Britain has to do their own for every stinking thing. From sausages to pens to cars, every single thing that they import and export has to have a deal done, a law written, and it has to be done with each and every country that they would ever do business with. That is a Herculean task. So, how does this affect you at home? Well, there could be shortages, or gluts of food. If Britain isn't importing as much, if there's not as much fresh food, there may be more for you, wherever you are. Of course, that means the price could go up or the price could go down. Bottom line, it will have an impact on food prices, and not just food, everything. Some could be to our advantage, some could be to our detriment. But no Brexit deal could lead to a shortage of not just fresh food, or not just fresh fruits and vegetables, but also meats. All of that stuff as well.
All right, I got it.
So,
go ahead. Go ahead.
So real quick, and I know you just came in late on this, Patrick. I was trying to explain how it doesn't matter if you're in Walla Walla, Washington now, and you're just raising a little family. Everything's great. How does this affect you? Any deal they do or don't deal somewhere around the world, in today's world, affects you. And they've got to do a deal with every country around the globe and every country as part of, hey, it's just Britain now. It's not part of the European Union. That affects prices and supplies and demands and everything. Now, that's only one small piece of the puzzle of, what we're going to experience, but there's constant changes. So what was your take? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm in agreement to some extent, but here's the deal. The EU wasn't formed last month or 5 years ago.
No.
But it was in the recent enough past that it's not like they haven't done this before. And it's not as if each country in Europe consumes the same types of commodities, right? So a lot of the countries have their own trade agreements anyway. I think it's another scare tactic to some extent. It will increase prices, sure. It will increase. Restrict the flow of goods.
No, I said it could actually. It could better the prices for you.
Yeah, so
it could be both. I just say change.
Well, I think overall it's going to change it one way or the other. But I think you're going to have to. I think they're going to have more control over about what they get and what they don't get as well. They'll have a better way to mediate what they can and can't select, because right now the EU is one big bargaining chip, right? And I'm not sure how those trade agreements work, but I'm sure there are minimums and maximums. I would assume this is probably better for Britain than not, in my humble opinion. Yeah,
well, so what I think is you're going to see change, and it could be something like this for America. And it's not just with food. It could be automobiles or anything. You're likely going to see change. You may say, oh my gosh, look at this horrible deal on, I don't know, notebooks. Oh my gosh, price of notebooks skyrocketing because they didn't come up with something. It affects us over here. It's outrageous. But you know what? You're likely going to go to the store and get a better deal on kumquats, because they'll be, you see what I'm saying? It's just going to be a change in prices. It will be a ripple effect, just a matter of to what degree. All right, let's move on. Boy, the Otron Teal stuff, I cannot say enough good.
I'm telling you, I feel so, after taking that, I have a little issue with acid reflux, and I know it's not specifically for that, but I'm not really having to take any Nexium or anything like that. I take the over-the-counter stuff, but it's made a huge difference, and I'm down about 1.5 pounds a week on average right now.
So I saw a quick, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but the headline, it just got me. Baked chicken wings that are actually crispy is the headline. So, chicken wings are not as easy to make good as people would think.
Even fried ones end up being a little soggy when they get to the table once you sauce them.
And so describe yours. I want the outside moist with a sauce, if I'm eating that type. But underneath it, I still want that to be that crispy, deep fried, even though there's no coating on it.
See, I want that. They can't be battered.
Right. No battered. But I want that the outside layer of meat to have that like little crispy, you know what I mean?
Just that thin layer of skin should be crispy.
Right, exactly. So that's what I want, but it's going to, listen to this. Baked ones are really difficult to do that way, right? The best you can hope for is that they have like kind of a barbecue texture.
Yeah. And even with the fried ones. So the fried wings, typically they don't stay crispy on the way to the table if you, if you mix this, if you sauce them before they go to the table. The dry ones, the ones with dry rub though, they're fine.
Did you, there's an ingredient that the reason I bring this up, they're saying that can change. Do you know what it is?
I don't, but I'll take a guess if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cornstarch?
No, that's really a great guess, and you're on the right track. Baking soda.
I could see that.
Yeah. Well, and I off the top of my head, and I haven't even seen the science
pure
behind
chemical
it.
reaction. That's not just a starch thing, yeah.
Right, and it's also, so you got chemical reaction and probably a little absorbent as well, right? So, yeah, they say you put that in there with some of these seasonings, and let me see here. It says baking the chicken on a wire rack in a sheet pan helped, but it helped to keep hot air circulating around the wings. So if you have a convection oven, it's probably going to be better. It said those were more crispy. It said, but if you add baking soda, regular old baking soda, incorporate just a half a teaspoon of the stuff onto the mixture of kosher salt, garlic powder, onion powder that were tossed, the wings were tossed in before baking, pushed it over the edge. So if I get this right, get a good chicken wing. Did I say breast?
That's okay. You're always thinking
Sorry,
breast. Chicken breast,
I know.
yeah. Chicken breast.
So I say get a good wing, and then toss it in that mixture. Garlic powder, onion powder, kosher salt, and a teaspoon of baking soda. Start the wings at a low temperature on a wire rack with the air circulating, and those are going to give you crispy baked chicken wings. Now, that's also very important because a lot of us do not have the capability to deep fry easily at home. I mean, you can obviously deep fry, but it is a pain in the ass.
But it's really important because the Super Bowl's coming up this weekend.
Right. So, wow, how about that?
You know what? Now, I know a little off topic, but those air fryers.
Yeah.
We need to have one shipped in because they are awesome.
Well, and
they work very well.
Yeah, and they said this does that, but that's a hack for you right there. If that works as well as they're claiming, man, oh,
you know
man,
what?
that's good.
They make a countertop oven that's almost like a commercial oven that goes up to 400 degrees.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get one in here.
Yeah, that would be good. Do you ever make wings? I rarely make them. I don't think about it often.
I like
Maybe
to grill.
I should.
I grill wings sometimes.
Okay.
So I make this dish. I call it Thai garlic chicken. My kids call it green chicken.
Okay.
But it's
Thai garlic.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. So it's 10 cloves of garlic.
Right.
About a quarter cup of soy sauce.
Okay.
Wait,
give me that again. 10 cloves of garlic.
10 cloves of garlic.
Right.
About a quarter cup of soy sauce. Let's see. There's 2 bunches, but not the bunches of cilantro that you buy in the store, the commercial bunches you get in the restaurant. So it'd be about 6 bunches of cilantro rinsed, and then you just tear the stems off. So you can have some of the stem on it. Just throw them in all the blender, a little bit of salt, and then it's like half a teaspoon of salt, about a teaspoon about, and then a bunch of black pepper, and then you add you start to puree that, and you add vegetable oil until it emulsifies, and you get this really garlicky, greenish marinade. And I'll tell you what, that garlic, so when you taste it, you'll know if you've got enough garlic in it. When you taste it, it should burn your tongue. I mean, and really, it feels like it's peppery, but then you taste the garlic behind it and the richness of the soy sauce. So then you marinate chicken. I used to cut the chicken into 8 pieces, marinate overnight.
What do you marinate in that?
In that. And then you turn it a couple times while it's in there. And then you can grill it or bake it.
And do you leave a lot of the sauce on when you grill?
Yeah, it'll coat pretty thickly.
Good.
And so then thickly, is that a word? Thick? Yeah,
sure.
Pretty thick. And then so in the restaurant, we'd bake it one time at 350 for, an hour to get it. It wasn't really crispy that way. But the next day, when you get ready to serve it, then you throw it in and
do you do it in the oven?
Oh man, you do it, like at 425, 450, and you just really crisps up.
Okay.
But
Could
wings
you do that
done that way
are really
on
the
good.
Grill outside?
You can. The thing on the grill is you can't. The temp can't be too high. Take your time because you want the chicken to cook all the way through and not burn that oil. No, I just do it all just one time on the grill. Is fine.
Okay, gotcha.
It's perfect on the grill that way, but it just takes longer. It's a pain in the butt. And
over the past, I don't know what's going on. I don't know, probably 6 months. I just am crazy about cilantro. I never realized how much I like it, and it's a love-hate thing. Some people,
I love it. Yeah, to some people, it tastes like soap.
Hate it.
It tastes like soap to some people. I don't know if it's enzymatic or what, but.
That's really fascinating.
It might be the chlorophyll in it, yeah. Yeah, I'll put the recipe up here on Spoony.
It's funny because I have one of those reactions to a lot of root vegetables like beets. They taste like dirt to me. It tastes like I've fallen down as a kid and you get dirt in your mouth.
You know what chefs call that?
No.
Umami.
Is that it?
That's that earthy.
Okay.
Actually, it's not, but it's.
Oh, okay.
People say, "Ooh, that's got umami."
And it's funny
flavor.
because beets are really good, except for that little afterwards. Now, I have realized when it comes to beets, if I get fresh beets, really good beets, they're not nearly that bad. or if they're tossed in something that takes the edge off of it.
What
it's great.
What about roasted?
Yes, roasted beets are much better.
Yeah, I think that slow cooking process probably. You know, when you cook them in water, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure how it interacts with whatever the terpenes and enzymes, but I would think that it's a fast process that almost intensifies the flavor. Roasting really kind of it mellows it out. It's a much richer but less intense flavor, I think. I love roasted beets.
Along your recipe there, my mom used to make some. I may have told you about this before, but I have to get her to try it. And I only remembered vaguely as a kid. She got it from her mother-in-law, my dad's mom. And it's I guess fried chicken, but it's not fried chicken. She would take, if I remember right, pieces of bone-in chicken, so like a whole fry or whatever cut up. And I remember specifically legs worked really well with this. She would coat them in flour. Flour, salt, pepper, garlic mixture, but with a crap load of fresh basil chopped up in it.
Oh, that sounds good.
I mean, a crap load. Now, I would like to turn it up a notch and go and get some Thai basil or some Asian basil.
Yeah, a little, Thai basil. Yeah, Thai basil.
Because the flavor is so much stronger.
Yeah, and you wouldn't need it nearly as much, but it's way stronger. Yeah,
right.
More intense.
So, no, I still need the same amount.
Yeah, because you want more basil
and more garlic. So she would do this, and I mean, it stuck to the chicken. There was a lot of basil on there, and if I remember right, she would fry it in a pan with water and oil together. Have you seen that?
You know,
so what happened is
it's steamed and fried at the same time.
So parts of the chicken crisped up, but there was this coating of gooey whatever on the outside. It was almost like you dunked it in sausage biscuits and gravy, a thick gravy like that. But it wasn't
tacky,
dripping. It was tacky like that, but it was cooked. And as a kid, I remember it was sensational. So I brought that up to her not long ago. I got to ask her the recipe.
So the way I know the chicken's ready to fry for me, I do the same thing. Basically, season the flour and throw the chicken in there. So I soak the chicken in buttermilk for a long time. Like an hour.
That's a southern thing. That's a very southern thing to do.
Well, it just the enzyme. So again, enzymes, they start to not digest but soften the chicken. Right. Then I put them in a paper bag with that seasoned flour and just shake it up. And then I take them out and I put them on a tray, like a drain tray. So
and this for traditional fried chicken?
Yep. So you put them on a rack over another tray in the refrigerator and just let them sit long enough to get tacky. And when the liquid and the buttermilk that's on the outside of the chicken starts to make that, it makes the flour wet, so it becomes a wet coating instead of that dry, the dry feel. Then it's ready to fry.
But I love that the oil and water together in the frying pan.
Well, I think so. I cook the chicken in a cast iron pan, and I put so when you cook the first side, I actually put a tent. I put a tent of aluminum foil over it. Yeah, because it steams the top side.
The outside,
exactly. Okay. So it doesn't take too long to cook. And then when you turn it, you remove that so it doesn't.
As a kid, I remember pieces would stick to your finger because this is not a fried chicken; it's a different coating. But it would actually stick to your finger. It would get kind of gooey and stuff, right? So, anyways, you should. I'm going to get the recipe for my mom, and we'll try this. This sounds awesome.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, Chef Trey Chapman. Just walked in, man. We're gonna have him on the show here in a minute.
Hey, so I want to talk about some other comfort foods. And this is part of today's list from Southern Living. It's cold in parts of the country. I mean, it's freezing, and you don't want to get out. Listen to this: chicken and brisket Brunswick stew.
Wow. That sounds delicious.
Patrick, only a couple of times in my life have I had beef and chicken together in a dish. There's not a ton of dishes, or it's not usually served that way. I had a restaurant in Cleveland serve a kind of a chopped chicken and beef thing like this, and it was prepared. It's too long to get into everything on it, but it was fantastic. And those together in a stew, and a Brunswick stew is going to be more like kind of tomato based, with the thin with the corn in it and whatever is awesome.
It sounds. I mean, that's delicious stuff.
Would be amazing today: sausage, chicken, corn chowder.
Ooh, or black bean soup with linguiça. That's Portuguese black bean soup. Oh, wait. Have you ever had chia pino?
Not since college, and it was only one time.
Oh, well, we won't tell you.
What is that?
Chia pino is basically a San Francisco version of an Italian seafood soup. And it's instead of being like a French bouillabaisse, it's this kind of really It's a slightly rich but basic, not real basic broth, but it has a what do you call it, saffron and stuff in it. Theirs is tomato base, and they tend to make it very spicy. And then you put it'll have lobster, not lobster, but yeah, it's sometimes a half lobster tail, but it'll have crab legs, and you can arrange these in this bowl so it looks like the crab. It'll be like a crab cluster, so it's the body part of the crab that the legs are attached to.
Right.
It's chopped right there. So it's a big cluster of claws sticking up out of the cioppino, and some mussels and clams, and it's unbelievable.
Part of that's along that line of that
favorite
thing that I told you my grandmother-in-law makes, and we got to get to the bottom of that.
We needed that crab. Oh my goodness!
I got it. You know what I'll do? I'll ask my wife to just call her grandmother and say, "Hey, can you give us the details on this thing and walk us through it?" That would be really, really cool.
Awesome stuff.
Are you a fan of pound cake?
I do like pound cake.
I love pound cake, but in so few applications to really just, make me go crazy.
There's only one. I'll tell you mine. There's only one real thing I really like it with.
For me, it's peaches. That's the peaches in a...
So toasted in the pan. Remember we talked about toasting in the pan with butter and then with lemon curd?
Oh, that's true. I haven't had it that way. That does sound amazing. How about this on a cold winter's day? Very simple. Perfect, buttery, peppery, salty mashed potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Forget everything else that goes with it. Forget that. Make yourself a pile of mashed potatoes. That'd be awesome.
That really is kind of the ultimate comfort food when you think about it.
You sit down and again, like I like mashed potatoes anyways, but if you put a little, that extra butter on top too, and you sit down in front of the TV and that's pretty good. But you know what? That's like nostalgia wild rice. Same thing.
Absolutely.
It's one thing I love about potatoes. Is same thing like the wild rice. It can be a dish unto itself. It needs no help.
It is an empty palate that tastes good on its own.
But is also the empty palette that you can paint other things upon, right?
Absolutely. And it's versatile. We talked before about, everybody's making these other alternative grain salads now. Wild rice works really well because the mix and texture from when the grain opens up and you've got that soft interior, the white part, and then you've got the husk is still on there. So you've got this denser, chewier product. It's perfect for a cold or warm salad. You know what I don't think I've ever done? And go to SpoonyWildRice.com. You can find out all the health benefits. It's complete protein by itself, trace minerals and vitamins. Awesome stuff. SpoonyWildRice.com. Edible memories from the Northwoods of Minnesota with jellies and jams and syrups. All kinds of great products. SpoonyWildRice.com. But, Patrick, I don't think I've ever made their rice with cheese. If I have, the cheese has been very downplayed. But you made around Black Friday kind of a breakfast bowl. And I had egg and bacon in it. And the bacon was sensational. Through all the stuff I've tried, I don't think I tried bacon in it. What about I did have cheese on there, actually. There was a shredded sharp cheese on there. But what about cheesy rice? Of a mac and cheese, a rice and cheese. Well, when you make a rice casserole, right? Regular rice casserole with a chicken thighs. You put cheese. You can put cheese in there. But what if it's like awesome. That real think mac and cheese, but with rice? There's cheesy rice like that. Yeah, they make with the broccoli cheese and stuff like that. Ooh. So imagine that. Where you maybe broccoli, right? You throw that in. How about a few peppers if you want to take it more of like a Mexican slant to it, right? Something like that. How about think of it like mac and cheese, but with that Spoony Wild rice, base. And I think we need to do a baked Spoony Wild rice casserole kind of thing, cheesy casserole. What about some other protein in it? Not that you need it because it's almost complete protein by itself, but a little bit of bacon or ham bits or something. Ham. Okay, I gotta learn to eat lunch. Doc. You're killing me every day. I do it myself. That's gonna be my goal if I could. Patrick, I know. I come into the studio. I'm drooling the whole time. Whatever. Oh my goodness! That's the one thing that's cool about this. This is how I know that that we're on the right track with this stuff too. Because we should not be able to cover this much stuff and have this much to talk about. But I could sit and cover this stuff endlessly. Because I'm fascinated by it, and it's food is culture and it's memories in this. But we talk about the cold day and whatever. It's just awesome. It's memories. And food is what we are made of. It is. It is such a part of our lives and cultures that I don't even think we generally realize how much. All right, thanks for joining me, Chef Patrick Mosher with his special guest today, Trey Chapman. Oh, Trey Chapman.
Not Tracy Chapman. That's a different person. This is Trey Chapman.
This is Cowboy Trey Chapman. Today, not dressed like a cowboy. We're going to cover that in a minute, though.
He's coming up next on Spoony.com. Have a great day.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew with Washington. President Trump believes he's right and his top intelligence chiefs have it wrong when it comes to threats posed by North Korea, Iran, and others.
For a second day in a row, the president publicly questioned the assessment of top U.S. national security officials.
I disagree with certain things that they said. I think I'm right, but time will prove that. Time will prove me right, probably.
The intelligence chiefs told Congress this week that North Korea is unlikely to dismantle its nuclear arsenal and that the Iran nuclear deal is working. But the president argues that Iran remains a dangerous threat, and he claims tremendous progress with North Korea. Greg Clugston, the White House.
President Trump says he and the Chinese president will need to finalize any trade agreement reached by negotiators and says the current trade talks are comprehensive in scope.
I think that probably the final deal will be made, if it's made, will be made between myself and President Xi. But we're certainly talking about theft. We're talking about every aspect of trade with a country. And we're talking about fentanyl, too.
The president has set a March 1st deadline for increasing tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports from 10% to 25%. Chicago's bracing for more winter weather. Mayor Rahm Emanuel.
We've gone from snow to freezing temperatures, wind chill, and obviously we're getting prepared for snow that will come this evening.
Detroit's light rail system suspended service for a few hours because the extreme cold was making it hard for streetcar batteries to recharge. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer says most of the state's residents are being asked to curtail their energy use for now.
Consumers Energy has asked that everyone in the Lower Peninsula turn our thermostats down to 65 degrees or less from now until Friday at noon.
And the governor's comments airing on WLNS TV. On Wall Street right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average down about 40 points. More on these stories from townhall.com.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us. Our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us, our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com, use promo code DOC, and get 15% off your purchase. That's neverforgottenapparel.com.
All things food service, recipes, and restaurants. Spoony.
Hey folks, this is Chef Patrick Mosher, better known as the Food Biz Pro, here on Spoony Radio. We have shows regarding food, food culture, the restaurant business, consulting services for businesses, startups of all sorts, not just the restaurant industry. We talk about travel, food destinations. It's a lot of food, fun, and family. Mike from the World's Food Championships will be coming on, giving us a weekly update on Saturday afternoons on what's new in the world of food sport. Yes, folks, I said food sport. No, it's not where competitors walk into Kitchen Stadium and beat each other to death with a limp fish. It's where you have 2,000 events which lead to the World Food Championships. Join us for the World Food Championship updates every week. Join us on Spoony on the Dash Radio Network, 24/7 Food Talk Radio.
We're not solving all the world's problems, but we're bringing people to the table. Spoony, food and fun. Get Spoony shows on demand at Spoony.com. This show and more is available on demand at Spoony.com.
Ron's in there shaking his head at me going, I don't know what happened. I touched something, Ron, earlier. I'm telling you, I screwed it up. I did. I touched 2 buttons I wasn't supposed to. He's like, no, not that one. Actually, he didn't. I had to admit I did it because I did something wrong. But, hey, Spoony listener, Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro here on Spoony Radio. We have a special guest in-house. If you haven't noticed on the Spoony Facebook page, we have a new show launching tomorrow. Well, I actually have let me count these out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 new shows launching in the next 2 to 2.5 weeks. 9. Sorry, and then one of our weekly shows is going to a daily show.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
And yeah, so
now hear me.
But hey, but what we have now is we actually have Trey Chapman here of Trey's Chowdown. And dude, I'm so happy you're coming on board. Tomorrow's the big launch. If you haven't seen the promo for his show, go to Spoony's Facebook, Spoony Radio's Facebook page, or go to is it Trey's Chowdown is the page? And that's TREYS Chowdown. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot of fun. You're booking guests left and right, man. I'm going to have to fight to keep up and get some for myself.
We're excited.
Where's your cowboy hat, dude?
Oh man, I took a shower. I left the ranch and threw on my workout gear. I do 6 miles a day. I have to with what I do for a living.
Well, I didn't know if you're doing that or if you're actually working down at the livestock show. Yeah. No, I'm serious. I was like, I don't think he volunteers as a rodeo clown.
No.
I know.
No.
6 miles a day, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So if I get a good day, I'll do 8 or 10. Yeah.
Running or
it's time, speed, power walking.
That's even, that's actually, it's less efficient than running, right?
Yeah.
So it's more work.
It's more work, but it's better for you.
So when I was in Japan, I was like, okay, how do I was way back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I'm like, okay, how do I relieve the joint pain? I was running a lot and I had a really stressful lifestyle there when I first started out. And so that was when they first had power walking was in the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it looks a little funny, but actually you can walk really fast if you try. And and actually I burned way more calories walking than running.
Yeah.
So it was pretty fun. But yeah.
You burn a lot of calories doing a lot of stuff you don't realize, you just have to figure out what that is.
I mean, even in these studios, some days I walk like 6-7 miles. It's crazy just running around like a chicken with his head cut off. I've had too much caffeine or whatever it is. So, hey, give the listeners a kind of a rundown of your show, because I know you got some cool guests coming up.
Yeah, I'm sticking with celebrity chefs, mixologists, restaurateurs, people who are good at what they do and who've been doing it a while, and are good on TV and have been on TV. They've been in Top Chef contests. They've been on Bravo, Food Network. Just
all right. We got to make them. Here's this thing. We got to make them look pretty on radio.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna have a lot of people watching. I've had a lot of inquiries too about watching the Facebook Live too. So it's
dude. I was looking at your stats from last year. How many video views? Like 2.8 million video views. Yeah. I'm like, we got a ringer. We got a ringer. But no, I mean, I'm really excited. So, and we were just talking about the technicalities of pushing the feed. We'll push directly here to Facebook and to YouTube and all that stuff. So. As long as you allow me to carry the content over to ours, so we can get a few. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm really excited. You've been doing this a while, man. How long have you been doing Trey's Chowdown?
I've been doing Trey's Chowdown for about 6 years, but it's a hard 6 years. I mean, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, I hardly ever turn it off. I mean, only
24 hours a day.
Yeah.
You don't sit still. I can attest to this.
No.
I'm like, hey, can you come by today, or can you give me that? Yeah. Hey, wait, I'm at the ranch. I'm working. I mean, because you run the ranch, right?
Yeah,
for the most part, right?
Food, cattle business, cow-calf operation.
Man, that's no easy feat right there. That's a 24-hour operation. Yeah. And then besides that, you have Trey's Chowdown.
Right. And I have Trey's Chowdown, Drink with Trey. Mm-hmm. And then I also manage Facebooks for my Cowboy Western side, which is the ranch. We have 10,000 people on the ranch in my Cowboy Western side. So we do.
Wow.
Yeah, I manage 9 social media sites a day. So I get up at 3:34 every morning and do 3 hours worth of. A lot of my postings are pre-posted, food, Western, all that kind of stuff.
Scheduling that stuff. So I'll tell you what. If you don't know how to schedule posts on Facebook, and I'm not good at it because I don't set those blocks of time. I'm working on it. I'm getting better, but it saves you a ton of work.
Yeah.
Especially if you know what you're going to post. Yeah. And you don't have to do the research.
And in my business too, I have to spend a lot of time searching the internet and website and Google stuff for restaurant stuff, chefs.
Come on, dude. There's no work to do in R&D. There's no research. And being a chef, you just go to culinary school, pay your $26,000, get your diploma, walk into a restaurant, and you're a badass. Yeah, you're gonna make $100,000 a year, and you're gonna light stuff on fire, and everybody's gonna know your name. You're gonna have your TV show in 6 months.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Uh-huh. That's. I'm not knocking culinary schools. I went to culinary school too, but now
a lot of the really good chefs didn't go to culinary school. They're self-taught.
Yeah, I mean, I knew how to cook before I went, but I just realized I didn't know anything about anything but Japanese food, so I needed to learn something different.
That's right. You were big in Japanese food. I like sushi a lot.
Do you? So I love sushi. I don't go out for it very often. I'm not a big fan. I'm not saying I don't eat it. I'm not being a prude or a purist, but I'm not a huge fan of a lot of mayonnaise on rolls. Now I have found that the combination of like a teriyaki sauce or an eel sauce with like a spicy mayonnaise or sriracha mayonnaise, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I love sriracha.
I didn't say that on the air. It's pretty damn good. But
I'm not a big mayonnaise guy either.
Yeah, I mean I like mayonnaise, but it's not. What I learned both in Japan and training in the United States under some pretty amazing chefs is it's a very pure food. So the whole theory behind Japanese food is to let little seem like much. Right. So, and this is a direct quote, so a lot of garnish, small portions. Let little seem like much as long as it is fresh and seasonal.
Sure.
So that's a key. Always seasonal ingredients, almost always local.
Sure.
And small portions, but of wide variety. Like when you sit down to dinner in Japan, they might have 12 little items on the.
It's an experience. Table. You don't just eat and run. It's an experience.
Yeah, you don't. And even in just a small family, you still sit there for an hour at least.
That's the way I am. I had a guy tell me on Sundays for about 2 years I did Trace China brunches. They just got to be too hectic and too big, and it just I couldn't do it anymore. But I had a guy tell me, he said, I got an idea behind that. I got a guy tell me, I'm not coming back to your brunch anymore. He said, every time your brunches are 2.5 hours, I don't have that kind of time. I said, look, y'all are all here enjoying. We're talking about food, family, friends.
What else you got besides fellowship and Sunday school on Sundays?
Man, food's an experience. It's exploration of the palate. You got to try something new.
Hey, we get this kitchen studio done downstairs.
I know. I can't wait.
I know. We might be able to do maybe I'll do one week and you do one week. Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. Well, so I mean, I know you're built for television, right? Yeah. And I know we had this live broadcast, but I mean, it does really translate well because what you're doing is you're not just showing food. You're talking about food.
Yep.
You're digging into the history and the culture behind it and where it all started.
Yep. People like to watch too, but you know what? They like to watch on demand. They like to watch when they want to watch. They don't so much like to wait for a program anymore.
So here's an interesting, and I'm going to get on my high horse for a minute. And actually, it's a responsibility for us as an older generation. Sure. There's a great, and I've if you know me, I've probably told you about this in the last month. if I've spent more than 5 minutes talking to you, Simon Sinek, he's a big influencer, right? Really brilliant guy who's kind of on the top. He's not a generation, Gen X like we are.
Right.
He's probably Gen Y, which is like he's at the top end of the millennials, all right?
Sure.
By the way, first millennials just turned 40.
Isn't that funny?
40 years old. That's crazy. I was a latchkey kid. I was Gen X. Nobody knew where I was, what I was doing anytime. I didn't know where anybody else was either. But so, you used to have to wait week to week to watch a television show. I'm going to quote him directly on a couple of things. Every week you had to wait week to week. There was nothing. You didn't even get if you were lucky, you got a trailer that was a 10-second teaser at the end of that show that week, but you didn't see it for the whole week. Remember the Waltons?
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't know what the hell was going to, or Fantasy Island or any of those shows. So you had to wait week to week. You don't have to do that anymore. You don't even have to wait until you can watch anything on demand. You don't have to look up movie times. You just go to the movies anytime you want. So you can do that with almost everything. You can wait to the end of season and binge it. You can get everything instantaneously except two things, and I think this is really important: meaningful relationships, deep-rooted relationships, because those are formed in these little moments in time where you learn something about the other person, and we're not distracted by technology, cell phones, all this other crap. Right. And then the other one is job satisfaction. And one of the things he was saying about speaking about millennials, and we're not knocking millennials, but
oh no, I love millennials.
Yeah, because of this this lack of a need for patience in our current society, then in their jobs they feel kind of lost because they want to have an impact and whatever. And he says directly whatever that means. But what they see is this mountain in front of them, and they're at the bottom, and impact is the peak, right? What they don't see is the mountain in between there, right? And so whether you go fast or go slow up the mountain, you're achieving something,
right?
But he says he walked up to some kid one day and he said, "Hey, how you doing?" "I'm okay." "Well, what's wrong?" "I think I'm going to quit." He goes, "Well, you only been here 6 months." "Yeah, but I'm not having an impact." I mean, 6 months, really. If you think you're going to influence a multinational conglomerate doing billions of dollars.
Years,
yeah. I mean, take your time.
Well, there is that one person that could. I mean, there is that, but they're there.
I mean, they're the pre-polished.
Sure.
They come out already shining diamond
Yeah.
sometimes. But yeah, I mean, we are very impatient as a society.
Oh,
Very.
I want it now and I want it my way.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
I want to start at the top and then work my way back down to the bottom.
you know why is it that okay, not every business. Somebody mentioned this the other day. I don't know. It might have been Doc. No, it wasn't Doc. But they said, why is it that like bartenders and chefs or culinary and food and beverage, it seems to be the one industry where you go in and when you buy a product, you get to tell them how you want it made. Exactly. No salt, low oil, extra pepper.
I found out that it's a bad thing to tell your bartender or your chef exactly how you want. You need to kind of a little bit more.
Yeah, you say I don't like it too salty or sweet or whatever.
Some people do though,
and I understand dietary restrictions and stuff like that. But
so you get some of your best stories and experiences from chefs and bartenders.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, we got a new sponsor. Did I tell you about that? Yeah. So I don't know if you're watching Doc Townsend's show this morning, but hey, we got a new sponsor. It's Simpson's. Cake in a can, baby. Spotted Dick, right from... No, man, we did a whole 15-minute segment this morning on Spotted Dick, eating Spotted Dick cake.
Yeah.
If you don't know what this is, so they call all sorts of breads and cakes in England pudding, right?
Right.
They actually called it correctly sponge, right? But this particular one is it's kind of a steamed cake that has raisins in it, cured raisins. And... No, tell them I'm busy. No, I'm just anyway, it was funny. Way down the air today. We have a listener, and Doc's listeners are very, very, very loyal and very entertaining. They sent a whole case, 10 cans of that, and I can't imagine what that cost. It's coming from England, so even though that's a 10-ounce can, that was probably $12-15 or something.
It can't go on the back of a horse from England. So it's got to.
Yeah, well, it would be a lot longer, more expensive to feed and water the horse on the way over. That's a long swim. Damn. Now I'm picturing water swimming across a river. I'm like, no, that's not so bad. They can't make it. So, is the livestock show going on now?
Yeah.
I've never been, man. Is it just this week or is it next week too? It goes for a while,
next
right?
week too. Yeah, it goes for almost 4 weeks now.
Okay, like the one in we won't talk about the town south here, but, that slightly bigger one.
Yeah.
But I got to go check that out. What do I need to see when I'm down there?
Everything. It's an amazing show. It's an amazing place.
I'd only been to the stockyards one time, and it was 3 months ago. So there's a film crew in town, Josh, I'm forgetting your last name for a second, but from Desert Wind Productions or Desert Wind Films. They were filming a new series with Nacho Extreme.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was here in town. Did you see him when he was here?
Yeah. No, I didn't see him when he was here, but I've seen his stuff.
Yeah, so he was here. Anyway, I was trying to get an interview.
Boy likes to eat.
Yeah, he's doing better though. He's not breaking teeth on lobster shells anymore. Because I'm telling you what, man, Mark Wahlberg and Danny, you guys are great, but you abused him a little bit, man.
Yeah.
Betting each other that for $100 he wouldn't eat the lobster tail and then the shell too.
Yeah,
I mean that guy beat himself up entertaining people, but he's a cool guy. Yeah, anyway, I wanted an interview. And they were in here talking to the Country Network where we're housed at these studios, and fortunately, they came up and introduced Tim, the CEO of the company, introduced them to us. And I was like, great, nice to meet you. Anyway, I kept trying to get this interview, right? I finally get one, but they're like, oh, it's on one condition. I'm like, what's that? Well, the chef from Billy Bob's is actually not in. He kind of abandoned us. He went on vacation to Colorado. And we need a stand-in chef. So I'm like, what do I got to do? They're like, you got to come in and cook something, and we'll give you a secret ingredient. It's going to be a beer, I can tell you that. And then you get to present it, and we'll film the whole thing. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And it ended up being Wagyu beef. They had Wagyu beef in the Billy Bob. So I was like, not a problem. Japanese steak.
Yeah.
And so they hand me this. It's nowhere but Texas beer, and I'm like,
that's Steve Helms beer.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's after song, right? Yeah. And he spends a lot of time in the studio. By the way, he's a nice. Well, not in our studio, but TCM. Anyway, so I'm like, so I made this blue cheese cream beer sauce. Put it over. It was actually really. I just winged it. I had 5 minutes to prep and get the kitchen ready, or maybe 10 minutes, but it was really good. Really good. Not very Japanese, but their beef was awesome. Yeah. I had never been to Billy Bob's before. And, oh, man, one of my all-time favorite bands, the Fabulous Thunderbirds, was warming up.
Oh, yeah, I like those guys.
So when they got done filming and we're sitting around, I sit up straight now. I'm getting excited. I took the food out and what was, the plates I'd made for the crew. And I made 5 plates of the steak. And I hear, Tough Enough playing in the background, right? I'm like, man, that's cool they're playing. Somebody's got a jukebox or something. And then, it stops playing. I'm like, I go, well, man, I like that song. What the hell happened, you know? And it's a honky tonk. It's the biggest honky tonk in the world, right? But it's early. It's like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So I'm waiting. I hear what were they playing? They were playing another song. Anyway, I hear the Fabulous Thunderbirds. I'm like, man,
wrap it up.
Oh, that's it. Thank you. Wrap it up, baby. Wrap it up. Thank you. See, Doc to the rescue. I got a ringer, and the doctor's in the house.
I like me some Fabulous Thunderbirds.
He also
Man,
apparently likes Spotted Dick.
That's actually
Spotted Dick and Fabulous Thunderbirds. That's a party, baby.
Oh man, I'll bring the Mogan David.
Throw in some whiskey. We're gonna have a hell of a time.
Mad Dog, baby, Mad Dog. Oh, Little Boone's Farm, maybe.
Oh God.
I'm sorry. Hey, all my English friends out there, I love your desserts. I love you. All right. And that they're not really a sponsor, but we'll give you a plug anytime there, Simpsons. Since 1910, by the way.
It's been around. It's been a big joke for a long time. It's kind of funny.
I know. Well, you know, we were doing it this morning. I can hardly keep a straight face. All I could think of is David Letterman and that can of big ass ham he used to have. That giant can.
Yeah.
Today's show brought to you by Big Ass Ham. It's probably one of the funniest spots I'd ever heard. It made me laugh, and I held on to that for a long time. I've used it over the years. So
I gotta Google that.
It was a really funny spot. He did it for like 5-6 years for a long time, and then he just got worried. It wasn't funny anymore.
Yeah.
But we won't talk about Dave. I love you, Dave. So yeah, it was fun being down there. The energy was cool. The management's awesome, and they were really helpful. The sous chef there, man, he was cool. He let me kind of just have my run of the kitchen, and they treated me really well. I can't wait to go back down. I went to what's the place? Did we talk about this last time? That's at the main entrance into the stockyards. So you're going on Main Street, but the right entrance there.
The White Elephant.
Well, it's the main, just the drag that goes back to the parking. So on the right hand side there, no, it's not the White Elephant. Before that is there's a room downstairs, like a private dining room that used to be the Speakeasy. Yeah. What's that place called? Something County. It's not Tarrant County. It's something County Assessor's Office or something like that. I forgot what it's called, but it's basically an old style saloon. With this dining room downstairs. And so Nacho was, the segment was they were doing these Mexican cricket tacos. Oh, which is actually really something from a region.
Anything in your teeth?
A couple of teeth, yeah. I mean, a couple of legs stuck in my teeth. It actually, but you know, the way, so it's not just like crickets in a taco, in a tortilla.
I know.
You know, they season them up really good.
I'm sure they're really good, actually.
Yeah, a little crema fresca on there, you know, and some salsa. It was pretty damn good. But I'm going to have him on the show, by the way, too. We'll have him out here in a couple of weeks.
Oh, cool.
So who's your first guest, or are you going to be surprises?
Chef Blaine Stanford. Blaine Stanford, yes. He's he won Top Chef, and he's got Grace and Little Red Wasp. He's opened up a third restaurant in South Lake, and he was a national campaign. He was a chef, national campaign for Sprint. He was all over buildings and the commercial on TV and radio.
Awesome.
It was cool.
So we need to bring in Kent Ruthman. He won Iron Chef, right? We'll have to put those in here and let him duke it out in our studio downstairs. A little kitchen competition ourselves.
Blaine's good. He's awesome.
There's a lot of really,
we've got a star-spangled lineup bigger than Texas.
You've got a huge pool to pull from just in this region. And I know you cover more than just this region. You're in like 5 states now, right?
Yeah. I want to get, there's a guy named Jason. He's a Michelin star winner. He has a restaurant in the Caribbean on the beach. Mm-hmm. He's actually on the beach. He'll go out in his bathing suit in the morning and catch crabs and stuff and spare them and bring them in and cook them.
Well, you got to get treated if you catch crabs, right?
Yeah.
Sorry,
but I mean,
bad
some
joke.
of his dishes are phenomenal looking. I mean, and then the chef in Sarasota, Florida, Lewis Robinson, he said he would come on.
So I got Akira Bach. He grew up in Aspen, a young Korean man. Mother's from Korea. I think he's Korean, fully Korean. But he
from Aspen, Colorado.
Well, so he grew up there, and he was a professional snowboarder. And then
awesome.
When I left Matsuhisa for Nobu's restaurant up there, he took over, and he's a world-class chef. He's got a Michelin-starred restaurant called Dosa in Korea, in Seoul. Awesome. I'm sure we could at least have if he's coming through. Oh, he will be coming through because he's opening a restaurant in the Colony. Oh, cool. Yeah, and it's opening sometime this year, I think fall. So I'll get a hold of him, see if we can't get him in here.
The great thing about this area now, Dallas-Fort Worth, and I say the area, I'm talking about all the way from McKinney or Allen all the way down to Weatherford, Texas.
Oh, man, it's more than the DFW Metroplex. It's huge.
Every chef you think there's chefs in Las Vegas. I promise you the next decade, almost every talented or known chef in the country will have some kind of restaurant or have their name on a restaurant or dishes or something here in this area. It's just phenomenal.
Yep. Well, I mean, Nobu was smart. He came in I mean, when I was opening up other restaurants, he came in years ago.
Nobu, how many Nobus are there now?
Oh, man, too many to count. So they're kind of two separate companies, right? Matsuhisa is solely Nobu Matsuhisa's brand. That's just him. And then Nobu's it was him and Robert De Niro and Journey Apart from Tribeca Grill and Tribeca Bakeries in New York. And then that all got a little bit diluted, and Nobu takes his cut, and he just, but man, he revolutionized Japanese food. Yeah. And he influenced guys like me and Tyson Cole. Well, we should get Tyson Cole to come up. From Uchi down in Austin.
I love the location Uchi in Austin. So it's awesome.
Phenomenal food, man. I'm lucky enough to go there. He's a great chef. He's a really nice guy too. I mean, most of the guys in the kitchen are kind of a-holes like me. Well, old guys like
it's
me.
like I tell everybody, if you are going to be a chef today, and you want to,
you can't be that way anymore.
You can't be that way, and you can't be in the kitchen. You got to get out of the kitchen and in the front of the house and talk to guests, talk to people. Absolutely. And take up the atmosphere, the vibe, keep people happy. You can't do it from the kitchen.
You can't. I mean, and that really started to change when we saw the shift towards celebrity chefdom, right?
Emerald, and social media.
Well, yeah, social media is the biggest thing now. It's the biggest influencer, right? But Emerald was really the first one to really be well known and had the first big TV hit, because you had like Country Cooking with cooking in the kitchen, or Country Cooking with Florence Henderson.
Justin,
and
remember the Cajun chef?
Oh, so he wasn't even a chef. He was a salesman for years and years. He just knew how to cook. And he didn't have that thick an accent when he spoke. Normally, he was I forgot what he sold, but he was a very successful salesman. Guarantee Justin Wilson, right?
That's right. Yeah,
he was cool. I loved watching that show. I grew up sitting on the kitchen floor of my auntie's house across the road, and she would watch Julia Childs all day long.
Yeah,
and
I liked her too. Yeah,
Julia Childs. So I met her a couple times up in Aspen. She was at Food and Wine Festival. She's a big woman, right? And she was about 6'1", and she gets off the plane in Aspen. They don't have a jetway. You have to go down the air stairs, and then you have to walk across the tarmac, and you got to carry your own luggage. So they walk back to the rear of the airplane. She's a big girl, and she's got this little guy, maybe 35 years old. He's her right hand guy, and he's gonna grab her luggage, and she just kind of pushes him out of the way, like, I got this, And she waddles in with both her suitcases. It was hilarious. I was like, I wish I'd had a video at that time, but I have an old picture. My partner and boss at that time, Jeffrey Klein, has an old picture of Mario Batali and Nobu at that. That was the first time Mario Batali was at the Food and Wine Festival, and that was like 1996, 7, somewhere 7. But man, that thing has grown. Getting into Aspen for that time of year.
Yeah.
But that's what we're coming to here. We have some assets we need to utilize.
Yeah.
Maximus, we have the big truck Maximus we talked about.
Yeah.
Transformer.
Yeah.
So I'm working with the Innovative Group.
That's cool.
And, we are now. I think we need to do some, but we don't need to wait for the kitchen setup to be done downstairs. We just bring that truck in and we do something fun.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That'd be neat.
Okay. All right. Innovative Group, you listening? Jama, Mark, whoever the powers that be there are, all my followers, please.
Get it.
Hey, hit them up. Tell them we need that truck down here. We'll figure something out. But I was thinking maybe for the stock show next year, we could bring it in and do some sort of big display.
Yeah,
get some
neat.
Celebrity chefs in, locals, nationals.
Beef. To do with beef.
Beef. It's what's for dinner every day.
You might be able to get the Texas Beef Council involved.
And they're right down the street.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, that'd be huge. I'd do that. And go Texas.
It's funny. I kind of know somebody who might know somebody there.
Yeah.
Texas Beef Council is right down here, 121, right? It's 3 blocks down?
Yeah.
Huh. I'm going to have to stop by and say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll drop a card and make sure they listen.
Yeah.
Man, so you're participating down here at the stock show?
Not this year. We did for decades. My dad was a director and a vice president, and an honorary vice president. And this year is just a little. They're in their transition stage. They're going to their new Coliseum and stuff. And so it's just been. And I've gotten so busy. It's just been hectic. So this year I'm not doing anything.
You're
down
busy?
there.
When are you busy doing?
Yeah.
Can I tell you what? I love that you're in the Spoony spirit, man. You got the lime green on. You're ready to go. Is that just so you don't get hit by cars, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's because I look sexy and green.
Yeah, you gonna stick around? Well, you're like a really big leprechaun, actually, a little bit. Yeah, not quite. But you gonna stick around? Or you got to run.
No, I'll stick around for a little bit.
Okay, cool. We'll have you back in the next segment. All right. Hey, we're gonna take a quick break here, but before we go, Atrantil, bloating, gas, stomach ache. This stuff works, man. Atrantil. It's what is it? MyHealthyTummy.com.
I heard that's good stuff.
It's really good stuff, dude.
LoveMyTummy.com.
See, man, I can't write. I don't have my glass on. I can't read.
LoveMyTummy.com.
I'm going to have listeners saying, get the name right. I'm like, I wrote it down. I just can't see it. I can't see it.
You got to say LoveMyTummy.com and rub your tummy.
I need a bigger notepad is what I need. We'll be right back.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter at Food Biz Pro.
Never forgot.
Dating today with all the crazies out there has to be nuts.
Yes, it really would. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a place you could go to find people who think like you do?
Like me, like libertarians and conservatives?
Right?
There is. WeThePeople.dating.
Amazing. What a genius idea. This is a site that you can go to if you're single and you are looking for somebody who you know you're going to think the same way, as far, from a political freedom standpoint. If you want to date the right person for you, you'll find them in one place. WeThePeople.dating.
Take the pain out of ordering your diabetic testing supplies with Diathrive. Diathrive ships the testing supplies you need directly to you when you need them. Best of all, with plans starting as low as $8 a month, Diathrive is probably going to cost you less than what you're paying today. Diathrive is so convinced that you'll love their service, they're offering your first month of supplies free. Simply type the code DOC, D-O-C, at checkout. Diathrive.com. That's D-I-A, thrive.com.
It looks like you're losing.
I am.
Are you losing weight?
I am losing. I've lost about 10 pounds.
How are you doing it?
Funny name, but I've done it with Riduzone, RADUzone.com, and the stuff works. It's, you get into all that, the molecule this and the found in that. All I can tell you is it makes you feel full, and it keeps your mind off of wanting to overeat.
And also boosts your metabolism,
Yes,
so you're
it does.
burning more.
Yeah,
Try it today. It's going to work for you like it's worked for Brad and countless other people. Riduzone.com. RIDUzone.com. It looks like you're losing.
I am.
Are you losing weight?
I am losing. I've lost about 10 pounds.
How are you doing it?
Funny name, but I've done it with Riduzone, RADUzone.com, and the stuff works. It's, you get into all that, the molecule this and the found in that. All I can tell you is it makes you feel full, and it keeps your mind off of wanting to overeat.
And also boosts your metabolism,
Yes,
so you're
it does.
burning more.
Yeah, it
Try it today. It's going to work for you like it's worked for Brad and countless other people. Riduzone.com. RIDUzone.com.
A cultural melting pot of goodness. Spoony.
And we're back, listeners. Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. Oh, man, we're talking a little... all right, we're just going to say, we're not going to say, we're just going to say cake in a can over here.
Yeah,
man, that 15-minute segment this morning about the speckled rooster, we won't talk about that anymore. It's an old joke, but it is funny.
It is funny.
You know what? There's some really cool food to come out of England, though.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, think about...
just fried. No.
No, so good fish and chips, though.
Yeah, I know. Great fish and chips.
Oh, man. I mean...
It's all about the dunk.
It is. I love real like ling cod or regular cod. That's my favorite fish and chips. That's by far the favorite. And a nice light beer batter. And I'm more of I like chips. I like English chips, but you got to, if you don't cook them twice, just cook them once. They're never crispy. They're more like the wedge fries. They're not potato chips, folks.
Yeah.
They're English chips. Sorry.
Yeah.
Crisps or chips, right? Potato chips. But they're awesome. And that malt vinegar.
Oh yeah,
man! You got that. If you don't have that, it's not.
Hey, Gordon Ramsay has a new fish place in. Well, it's not new now; it's 2 years old, but it's in Vegas. Across, of course, he's got 12 restaurants fitting out there. But
everything's out. Hell's Kitchen's there, yeah.
Yeah, and I like fish and chips. And I went there and got. God, it was so good. It's a quick spot.
When are we going?
Yeah,
where is it?
It's give me a minute. I'll think of it.
No, it's okay. I don't know.
Vegas. It's in between two hotels.
You can tell me where it was, and I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah. Is it in a walkway between them?
It's in a walkway.
Okay, so it's probably between there's the area, but there's the one across from it, and that's conjoined to what's the big one with the big fountain?
It's Bellagio, but it's not that one.
Well,
it's farther down.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, never mind then.
Yeah,
we were talking about. Do you remember the old Rosewood Inn that was there?
Yes.
So they built a Venetian around it, and that place had the lobster was basically like $40 a pound, and they had a minimum 2-pound lobster. Yeah. And so we were there for a wedding one time or a long time ago, and the bill came as like 10 or 12, 14, 14 or so, but it was like $3,500 or whatever. Yeah. And everyone's like, I'm not getting it. Yeah. So it was like, but I think some people were ordering like 3-pound, 4-pound lobsters, and it was really good. Some of the best food I've ever had. But boy, was it pricey. I think a glass of wine was about $20-25. And this was like 1993 or 4.
When people tell me, the food in Vegas is so cheap, it's inexpensive, but where are you eating? It's not inexpensive.
No, I mean, you can still get some good, inexpensive meals off the strip a little ways out, but nobody's there. And we talked about this in the air yesterday. It's a captive audience. The food is way better than it used to be. It's not buffet oriented. And the food is not, cheap food is not a draw. It's no longer a draw.
No. They want good food.
No, and also for those high rollers that get free good food, you have to subsidize that. We got to pay for it.
But you know what I don't like about Las Vegas, and I'm not a negative person at all. But what I don't like about Las Vegas is here, if you go to a restaurant in Dallas Fort Worth or even New York, the celebrity chef or the chef is there. In Vegas, you hardly ever catch. The reason why is they're using their name. Or they come out there once a month or once every 2 weeks or whatever for whatever they do. They're not there all the time.
Yep,
and it's totally different.
And if it's a license deal, So if a group partners with you and use the name, then it's like $20,000 a day to have you there. They got to fly you first class.
Right.
It's $10,000 to $20,000 a day plus per diem.
Yeah,
and then they got to fly you back, and they don't fly you back first class. They fly you like net jets, man. And that's like, now let me tell you, from Houston to New York one way is like $26,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not cheap. So to bring them out for like 5 days is usually $125,000.
Yeah.
And so they you have to bring them a minimum of like 10 days a year for quality control.
Yeah.
And then there are guys, which we were talking about somebody just a minute ago. We were working on a deal in Thailand to promote one of their brands, and they would only fly in seat 1A in first class. I'm like, okay, your ego is so big that you can only fly in seat 1A. I mean, you make food, for Christ's sake. You're not the savior. You're not even a doctor. You make food. Yes, it's really good food, but you can only fly in seat 1A?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Actually, when we heard that, we're like, forget it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, or Pat's back. We're not going to go too far into that, but that was probably the first cooking show that I actually loved, because the intimacy of the setting, and there was only 3 people on the set at any given time. It was a very cool show, his first one. But anyway, so enough of that.
Real quick, when I go to Vegas, I'm a food guy. I'm a huge food guy. That's all I do. When I go to Vegas, I start at one end of the strip and I walk. I literally walk the whole strip. Every time I go, I'll spend 2 or 3 days walking up and down. I go in all the restaurants. Sometimes I have an appetizer to drink. I look around. I see what kind of atmospheres.
Well,
so that I know what restaurants are where and who's there and what.
And it's cutting edge too. It's an innovative town now.
It's cutting edge.
Akira Bach that I was telling you about, he cut his teeth in Aspen, but then he went to Vegas and he opened Yellowtail there. I don't know if Yellowtail's. It's Nobu-esque, but man, he really took it to another level. And then in Korea, Dosa. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's for those established chefs like Daniel Balud, right, or Balud, Emerald. They get to showcase. That's their showcase restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Now, Morimoto's showcase restaurant is in New York because it's built into the side of the Food Network studios.
Yeah.
That way he can go to work and work at the same place.
Right.
But they're like, what's the one where they have the wine angels? That's is that Danielle, Restaurant Danielle? I think Daniel Balud's place. I could be wrong, but they have these wine angels in there. So they got basically it's like a 50-foot high wine cellar that's glass encased like you see in a lot of restaurants.
Yeah.
But what's cool is they have these ladies, I don't know what, the wine angels, but they're on these like trapeze harnesses, and they launch them into the air, and they get the bottles of wine from 200 levels up. There, it's like, okay, 241. It's let's see, row 241, B6. So that's where they get the wine. I don't know exactly how that system works, but dude, it's so cool. It's freaking cool. And then they bring the bottle of wine down and they give it to the wine steward, and they take it to the table. It's quite a show.
Wine rings are becoming such a huge thing. 10, 12 years ago, 15 years, they weren't like that at all.
Nope.
They just been going, when they took off, they didn't just start in a crawl. They just all the way to the top. I mean, who's got the biggest wine room? Who's got more glass? Who's got the tallest?
There was no growth curve, man. It went from, I'm going to try this to boom, it took off. Yeah, it went at the stratosphere. I don't know.
Round, square.
It's cool. So we kind of, I helped open and was a partner in a place called Hubble and Hudson in Houston, in the Woodlands actually, and so it was a gourmet retail store.
I like Woodlands.
Yeah, it's nice, and we actually to fund the build out of that space, it was like $7 million build out.
Sure.
Well, actually, I'm just gonna say his first name, Dirk. Thank you, but he actually bought we were tired of paying the rent. He didn't want to pay the rent, so he bought the entire building eventually from the Woodlands Development Corporation, and bought the building 21 Waterway Drive, and it's a big building. It's not that's like a half block. He bought the whole thing, so we didn't have to pay rent anymore. But it was a good investment on his part.
Yeah.
Anyway, when we opened that, we had the Hubble and Hudson Bistro was next door, and we had these wine lockers. And it was great for us because the whole planning process was that you could buy wine at a discounted rate and then store. Like you could buy wine in the store at retail, and then you could store it in your wine locker along with your other beverages, and that way you didn't have to pay that full. Because look, I'll tell you the secret to a wine in a restaurant. Why it seems cheap sometimes, but that first glass pays for the whole bottle.
Yeah.
Pretty much. If it's under a $12 or $15 bottle of wine, then you almost always charge the full price for the first glass, because you don't know if it's wine by the glass how much you're going to serve, and you have to cover the bottle if it goes to waste.
Sure.
Because even cooking in the kitchen, you don't get your money back out of it.
Right.
But those wine rooms that they have now, man. I was at the where were we? Oh, I was just at the Mohegan Sun Wine and Food Festival.
Yeah, I saw you out there. Yeah. Well, I didn't see. I saw the pictures.
Yeah, that was so much fun. But we were at the Mystic Marriott, the Marriott Hotel in Mystic, Connecticut, and they had not had a renovation in the restaurant yet. They'd done, I think, like $10 or $13 million of renovation to the hotel, and they're doing, I think, $7 million to the restaurant coming up in this next.
That's just not.
I think it's second quarter.
That's not a lot anymore these days.
Well, look at there. Well, anywhere. We'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, but this was like, I think it had been 15 years or so since their last renovation. But they had a glass wine room that was basically the width of the dining room that split it in half. So the servers had to walk around both sides of that wine room, but it was just a glass wall on one side, glass wall on the other side. They went up like 20 feet, and it was beautifully displayed. But it'd been 15 years since they've had that, so they must have been one of the first to do that. But what I was going to say is, what's his name? In Napa, the Chef Bouchon and Thomas Keller. Okay, yeah. So Thomas Keller, when they just renovated, the big restaurant out there, not Per Se. Per Se's in New York. It's the number one restaurant in the United States for like 20 years. But anyway, they did a renovation, and it was $10 million. It started with a wine room renovation, just the wine room, and by the time they got done with the entire restaurant, it was $10 million.
Yeah,
$10 million. What? That's just one restaurant.
I know.
That's crazy. That's not even a whole hotel.
In a lot of places, nowadays they build the build out.
Oh, French Laundry. That's the name of the restaurant.
Yeah, that's right.
I was thinking dirty. Yeah. I was thinking Dirty Laundry because I actually have a concept for a restaurant called Dirty Laundry. And there's
there's one in Dallas called the Pantry. So it's just close.
Yeah, I know the Pantry. Yeah.
You have to. It's a risk nowadays, because if you do a build out and you lease a property, then unless you have a contract with them to spend some of the expenditure on the build out, that's all you. And sometimes you walk away, you don't get any of that back.
No, well, most of the time you don't get any of it back.
No,
so having the tenant concessions stuff.
Yeah,
man. That's something that we don't touch on a lot in talking about the business of business. Because restaurants are like any other business. It's all dollars and cents, plus and minus. And one of the biggest things is your lease, right? Because your fixed overhead is a problem,
right?
If it's too high,
problem.
Well, because I give the example about, look, if you do drywall for a living, right? So you become an apprentice, you work for some guy, and then eventually you become a journeyman apprentice, and then you're a journeyman, you're running crews, and you decide to branch off. You do a couple jobs on the weekend, and then you do it yourself. Okay, now you're one guy doing houses on your own. You keep all the money, you hire a couple guys, you dilute the pool, but you do more jobs.
Right.
Then you grow the company. If the economy goes to crap, you just let everybody go, sell some of your equipment, and you get to do it on your own.
Yep.
You can't do that in a restaurant.
No.
And that's
a
vital.
Restaurant, a big bar, anything's a service business where you have to,
it's labor
especially
intensive.
now, your service has got to be on point all the time.
Yep.
So you cannot have a staff that's subpar or low, or staff that is not where it needs to be.
I agree.
Working level.
Well, and with that, so when you start cutting bodies, you have to have a minimal number of of viable bodies in a restaurant to even open, let alone function. And so you can't scale back enough, because even if you cut everybody, if you don't have the sales, you still can't pay the overhead. So there's kind of a formula, right? The magic number is if you're ever above 10% on your total leasehold. That's triple net. Doesn't matter if it's triple net or whatever. If you're over 10%, CAMs, triple net, your actual lease itself, you're screwed. You will never make money, because unless you're a big chain, and you might make 15% annually, but even those margins are dropping.
Big chain, it's a show store, and you have other restaurants that pick up.
It's a loss leader that way, yeah. So I get that. But you really can't if you're an independent. That's the drop dead. If it's over 10%, if it's 10%, don't do it. If it's 9%, don't do it. We shoot for 6. If you can get 7, it's acceptable. Never over 8. Never, ever, ever, ever. And that goes for any retail store. Yeah. If your projected sales are, if your rent is more than 8%, 7% of projected sales, it's probably not going to work. Now, it's not as bad in a retail store because you could operate on your own, and it might be a little harder, but it's not like running a restaurant, dude. I've made that mistake on a Friday night or Thursday, even a Tuesday. It's a snowy night in Denver. You don't see a single car on the road. It's downtown. It's 15 minutes to close. Hey, Jim, man, why don't you go home? I'll close for you. What, Chef? Thanks. Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you. Lights a cigarette before he even gets out the door, right? You go back and you tell the dishwasher, hey, just clean up what's in there and put it away. I'll take care of stuff. Really, boss? Hey, thanks, man. Okay, he's gone. What happens? 4 minutes to close, man. 16 people walk in. 1 minute to close, another 10 walk in. You've got one server and you. No bartender, no manager, and you're like, what was I thinking? I could have spent an extra $40. Or not even, probably $15, and served customers, our guests, to the level that they should be served, instead of trying to save the almighty buck. So when that happens and people's sales start to hit that turning point and they go down, they always cut staff first. I said, don't cut staff. I said, evaluate your staff. And if you're not getting what you need from a service perspective, then double your staff.
Never, ever, especially when you're that close to closing, ever, because it's going to happen to you. It will happen.
Every time.
And with social media, people are going to know about it before you even lock the door.
Yes, they do. Oh, did you, I don't know if you had caught the interview I had last week with Marta DeWolf.
Man, I don't have time to sit around and watch everybody on dead gum.
Dude, you got headphones and a damn phone.
I know.
I know. If you're like me, when you're in the car, people are like, what do you do? I'm like, I don't turn on the radio. I'm on the phone the whole time. I'm like, that's business time. That's when I get more.
I listen to music and decompress.
You know what? I actually, there's an old, I forgot who wrote it. I need to read it. I read it on the air one night, or one day. It's like 13 things that you don't know about chefs if you aren't one or you're not dating one or something like that. And it's like, it goes through all these things. One thing is like these rules, right? One of them is that no matter how sick you are, unless you're dying, you always show up to work and allow the chef to let you go, because we're not going to keep you in the kitchen if you're sick, right? And not for more than a few minutes if we absolutely even had to.
The no-shows and calls-offs are just ridiculous these days.
It's been that way for a long time. And I'll tell you that the biggest frustration for me is babysitting a 50-year-old grown man who's been in the industry for 20 years, gets paid 3 times what everybody else in the kitchen makes because he's supposed to be good at what he does. And then after 3 weeks, he goes back into his old habits of not showing up or drinking a little too much one night. And, I got the whiskey gut, chef. And I can't.
Well, in the restaurant and the service industry in general, it's hard on you. And a lot of people, cope with it with alcohol and drugs and stuff. And it's just been a problem. And it always will be a problem. It's not going to go away.
It is getting, so I have to say, there's some people around the country that are doing a good job. There are chefs and general managers and affiliate associations that are now providing services for chefs and restaurant workers, because look,
but they have to want to do it.
They do, and most of us don't, right? So I mean, look, I like to drink. I've self-medicated many years, not many days, many years.
I like whiskey.
I like it all: beer, wine, whiskey,
beef, fish.
You know what sounds really good right now, though, is that Japanese beef, that Wagyu that I have there.
Go ahead.
No, with the blue cheese cream sauce on there with a nice rye right now. That sounds delicious. I'm so
Black Ship of Lugatano over in Dallas has got Wagyu, an appetizer. It's Wagyu hot rock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it brings hot rock, and you cook the Wagyu right there on the hot rock.
So the they keep those hot rocks at about 450, 500 degrees.
They tell
in
me
the
I'm
oven.
touching every time I touch the damn thing.
Well, my kids think I'm stupid, right? Every time we go to a Mexican restaurant, they're like, the plate is hot. Why am I doing a terrible Mexican accent? Maybe a Latin accent. I'm sorry. I can't do it, and B, not everybody that works there has that accent. So, but they'll come up, and you can tell. Like there's the server, and then there's the server, right? Yeah. So no matter how hot, like you see smoke coming off Jorge's fingers coming to the table, but he's holding that plate without a napkin. Yeah. And then you got the ones with the napkins where you're like, I don't think it was really that hot, so you got to touch it. Yeah. It's like, oh, sir, the fajita plate's hot. Nah, it's cast iron on wood. It can't be that hot. Oh, yeah, it was really hot. Yeah, I'm used to touching stuff. No, not that stuff. Stupid. I do it every time. Anyway, friends laugh at me. My kids make fun of me. I can't help it, man.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, man, you talk about staffing. So by the way, this is totally, we had no plan of Trey being on the show today. No. He was coming by to just kind of look at the studio. We want to make sure he's set up for success tomorrow. He has a great launch to the show.
I'm set up for success every time I climb out of bed, man.
Well, but I got to do my part, man. I can't be the one that's stepping the stairs that crumbles, baby.
I know.
I am not the wink link today.
I know.
Or tomorrow.
I never want a wink link. I always say if you're the smartest guy in the room, there's something wrong.
You know,
you got to learn every day. You got to learn every day.
You do. Yeah, it's and that's the thing about this industry. People are like, oh, you know everything about food, and they call me, oh, you're Master Chef Patrick. I'm not a Master Chef. I don't know everything about food. I do know a lot, and I've spent I spent my whole life learning about food, but I really have a genuine interest in sharing my passion for my craft and my trade, so that the average home cook or even the person who doesn't cook thinks when they get done hearing the show, they go, damn, I can do it. Man, he painted a picture that sounds so simple, and that's only 6 ingredients, and he told me exactly, I can do that. That you can visualize it, you feel confident, because there's nothing sadder to me than someone that says I don't cook.
I know.
And I love all you people that say I don't cook.
Anybody can cook.
It breaks my heart because now recipes are not always julienne saute.
No, and some of the recipes now. Oh, I want to say that right now. Some of the recipes you get online on YouTube or Pinterest,
they're whacked.
They're not right.
No, they're not right. They stole somebody else's picture and wrote some version of what they thought the recipe should be.
And we've tried several times at home to make some. It's never right. You have to adapt to everything.
Well, and chefs are notorious for not giving you the exact recipe. Well, and sometimes you just can't duplicate it at home. You don't have the equipment or the time. Yeah. But you're right.
Or the touch.
When we were interviewing Monique the other day, she says, yes, this cookbook is a great. It's a roadmap though. Look, what I want you to do is watch the show, read the recipe, but then throw it out. So take what you learned and adjust it. Use it to so you apply. It's just a cross application of knowledge, man. Yeah. It's all technique and flavor.
She always speaks her mind on Top Chef.
She does. Well, Alex Garnishelli's pretty outspoken. We were talking about that yesterday. I had Mark. So Mark, that was at the show with me, he called in yesterday, and we had a good chat throughout his show starts next week. So he's gonna be doing at least a few days a week, and then he'll start every day pretty soon. But it's been a long road. We've been working on this for almost exactly a year.
Yeah,
when Doc and I first mentioned.
I thought it was 8 months, but a year. Yeah.
Well, we only started building this studio about. Brad started on this maybe in November, so in about 2 months. Yeah, it was before, it was a week before Thanksgiving. He did the first work in here, dude. I mean, look, man, he has done a great job. Look at the view outside, man. It looks warm.
It's great.
Yeah, it's look. The sun is lifted. I mean, the clouds are lifted.
Yeah, little stuff blowing around there on the ground.
It still feels weird because that used to be the window wall in here, and I still feel like a little claustrophobic when I walk in. I'm like, where's the sun, man? Now I feel way better. Thank you, Brad. Yeah. This is like one of those therapy, lights for wintertime when you live up north. Yeah. I'm gonna just lay down in the shelf over there and just bask in the sun.
I do like the old cafe sign though.
Yeah, so it was. I have a picture I need to post online. So when Brad first brought this in, it was just rolled up in sections over here on the floor, and I'm like,
I can tell. Yeah,
I'm like, what was that?
You can't tell on TV, but you can tell when you're in the studio.
Yeah, so he laid it out there and mapped it out, and I was like, ooh, because I just saw one strip. I saw the Tucumcari Amarillo sign. I'm like, what is that? What is that? And I'd forgotten. I've seen it before, but yeah.
I have a story. We were going to we used to own restaurants all over 5 states, and but a bunch of them in West Texas. And we were going through Tucumcari one time, and this wise old friend of mine said, he said, hey. We were stopped at the gas station. He says, "Hey, you two, come carry." Stuff in his hands. I've never forgot that.
That's really
weird,
funny.
But I never forgot it.
You know what? I love the sense of humor that older people have, right?
Yeah.
So we don't
give a damn.
Well, and they just. Some are like that. Some are just like, I'm going to be young, say whatever I want, and it's funny, right? Or, come here, sugar. Do you want any sugar without honey? No, just stir your finger around that sugar. It'll be sweet enough, Because if you're 100 years old, who's going to call you on the Me Too movement,
That's right?
Nobody.
No.
But I was in. This guy was really funny. When I first moved to Arizona, when I was 12, 13 years old. From New York, we were not supposed to move there. We're just visiting on our way to California. We got stuck there. But the next year, we took a trip down to Mexico. We went all the way down Baja, California, with this gentleman, Al. I don't remember your last name. He was one of my mom's good friends. Al and his family, there are 4 or 5 kids, his wife, and it was awesome. We just stopped like at the end of every day. We just stopped. We camped. We stopped in Baja, like facing the Sea of Cortez there, and Sea of Cortez. Yeah, that's right. Am I
Yes.
wrong? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm so tired. I'm like, is that in Spain? Anyway, so we facing the Sea of Cortez, and they had this crab fishing operation right there, and shrimp. And you could catch the crab, big blue crab, right off the shore. So we'd use a jean jacket and catch them. We'd buy a 5-gallon bucket of shrimp, literally 5 gallon of like 16, 20 size shrimp, 16 to 20 per pound. And it was like $25, man, right off the boat. It was so awesome. But anyway, his wife was making these tortillas. Anyway, that's like day 3 or 4. We get all the way down almost to, I don't know how. I need to find this mountain range because I want to trace that trail I took. Map it out. But we're in the mountains, man. We're driving. There's no guardrail. It's like a 1.5 lanes wide, and it's about a 700-foot fall if you go off the cliff.
Oh, yeah.
Now, granted, it was nice and sunny and beautiful, but we had just gone across salt flats. Now you're in the mountains, and the salt flats were a long ways, too. I'm like, there's no road. How do you find your way to the other side? You can just go straight, man. That was Al. Just go straight. Yeah. Follow the tire tracks. There were no tire tracks. It's all white. It's like snow.
Yeah.
So we get to the other side, we go through these mountains, and we stop at this little mining town, and I gotta learn the name. And there's this old guy. He looks like an old miner from a movie. He really does. He's got a little leather vest on. He's got the Dickies work, the beige Dickies work pants on, and weathered and worn. And he looks a little like Willie Nelson, a little aged and weathered from experience and just being outside too much.
Sure.
And he was like. He was talking to us. He was an American guy, and he's like, "Hey, you guys want to see something really cool?" He shows this giant, like it's the first time I ever held a gold nugget in my hand. But the thing was like, the size of a skipping rock, maybe. And it was like about 3 pounds, whatever. It was very heavy. It was maybe not 3 pounds, about a half pound, 8 ounces, like that little thing. Like it was like, wow, that's really incredible. Because don't tell him I have it. He had a gun in his holster. Yeah. He goes, I'll have to kill them if they come at me. He was joking.
Yeah.
So he already had us scared, right?
Yeah.
So then there's a little taco stand. And so I'll walk over that way, and there's me and these 3 other boys, Tommy, Kenneth, and Bobby. Right, these 3 sons of my mother's friend, who I ended up growing up the rest of my formative years with. And we go over to this taco stand, and we order tacos. I'm like, man, this is really good, really good. And they're like, yeah, there's like 25 cents a taco. I don't know, I don't remember, but I was like, man, and I don't know. I think at that time I was already starting to really think about recipes and food and what's in it.
Sure.
And I asked the old man, I said, I forgot what his name was, Sparky, whatever his name was. I go, hey, so what kind of meat is this? It's really good. He goes, you see any dogs around here? And I was like, we didn't. There were no dogs. No dogs anywhere. There were a couple cats. And I was like, dude, that's not cool, man. You fed us dog meat. That stuck with me for like 5 years. I thought I ate dog. It was goat, actually. But yep. Yeah, that was a really long-winded short story.
That's funny.
Yeah, I really want to trace that map because that was one of my first real culinary adventures. It's the first time I'd ever had crab right out of the water and shrimp right off the boat. And when we finally got to this Mexican ranch, right, they had, I don't know, thousands of desert acreage, thousands of acres of desert, land, which was beautiful because I love the stark beauty of the desert. I really do. It's beautiful if you get to know it, right? And spending time in Arizona really made me appreciate that. But so we get there.
Arizona's beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway, they were watermelon farmers, right?
Yeah.
And they had a dirt floor house, 3-room house. No, but they had these big, heavy. I mean, when they're heavy and they
it doesn't matter.
Good.
Picking those up all day long will be heavy anyway. It doesn't matter if it's little or not.
Oh, dude,
they become heavy.
Oh, trust me, I worked in Arizona. I picked cantaloupe and watermelon, lettuce, you name it, man. Even cantaloupe, dude. Those guys are fast.
Man,
I was 16 trying to keep up with it. It killed me. Yeah, they have those big wooden boxes, the big crates on the back.
Yeah, Northern California has those lettuce farms. And I went out there in strawberry farms.
Nuts.
Crazy. Those guys just...
Oh, man, I did that. I trimmed pistachio trees up in, I got to think of where that was in Arizona. Not Winslow. I'll think of it in a minute, though. But anyway, so they had these, and at night they had this big old army tent that was set up full time out there, and they'd open up the sides, the breeze would blow through, and we ate that watermelon, man. It was the first seedless watermelon I ever had. It was almost jet black. It was, man, I can still taste that to this day. But that whole experience of fresh handmade tortillas every day, it was awesome. I'll never forget that. I need to write my stuff down, man.
Yeah, you can't. You don't have time.
Hey, anybody out there take quick dictation? Yeah. They have these things, that dragon thing now. Actually, Siri, I could just write a book on Siri. Or not Siri, yeah. Hey, Siri.
Those things always have a hard time.
Hello?
Those things have a hard time understanding me anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I get so excited. I'm like, it sounds like I'm speaking German or Japanese or something. We had a guest in studio a little while ago, and one of the crew members is actually from Bavaria, from Munich, and they're speaking German, and I'm like, they're like, oh, you studying German? I'm like, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, I switched from English to German all of a sudden, and it took me a minute, but then I had a hard time changing back to English. I was like, we're in English again. It's so hard. I get stuck in gear.
Munich's a cool place.
Yeah. Man,
I spent a month there.
I didn't spend that long. We're gonna have to talk about that. So yeah, I know you got your show on Fridays, but you're gonna have to come in once in a while and just chat with me.
I will.
All right, man. Hey, Trey Chapman. Dude, tomorrow's going to be an epic day. Trey's Chow Down Live, baby, tomorrow, 10 a.m. right here at the Spoony Studios. All right, man, thanks for listening. It's I was going to say it's been a good week. It's only Thursday. We have one more day to go. Yeah. So join us tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. for me, and 10 a.m. That's 11 a.m. 11 a.m. 11 a.m.
Adios.
Eastern. Ciao for now. We'll see you tomorrow.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated